It's the Walk Pod, Game Week 3 prediction time. Right, well, it was a mixed bag last week, and here to discuss it with me is my co-host, as always, Mark Ryman. How are you getting on this evening, Mark?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I mean, you say mixed bag. I think mine was pretty much an empty bag, although I will get my excuses out early. I was probably 2 minutes away from having two exact scores. A QPR decided to equalise, I think, last minute. And then Blackburn did the same thing. And then Bristol City scored against Millwall as well. So, yeah, it's not great.
What a game week it was, though. So I got 6 results correct, including 2 exact scores. And how did you do?
3 correct. No direct scores. One that was particularly close. So, yeah, I will say this. I said last week, and you can listen to it back, I predict Haji Wright or Ellis Sims, but we'll just ignore that bit. Haji Wright to score last-minute winner for Cov against Oxford, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, I'm not going to get any extra points for it, but I think it deserves a mention.
Gold star for you.
I'm scraping the barrel. I am scraping the barrel. Yeah, it's not.
To be fair, Haji Wright is going to do that most weeks. He's so impressive. What a player he is.
Yeah, and this is without Ben Sheaf in the team as well. When they've got him pulling the strings, they are going to be a tough old team to beat. And I know we've been singing their praises for the last couple of weeks on this. And I think they're gonna start clicking even more soon.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? And who knows where Ben Sheaf's going to end up. But before we make our predictions, just a quick shout to like this video if you're enjoying all the content from the We Are Luton Town podcast, and subscribe to our channel. It's not just Championship content. We also do Luton Town content. Can you believe it? Also, a big shout out to our audio partners, Blackstar Amplification and Carry On, for making sure that we sound on point. And also a big shout out as well to the record shop in Amersham. If you're ever in Amersham, go check them out, especially if you collect vinyl. They're very friendly in there. Right, Mark, let's kick this off with... my geography's a bit rusty. Is this a Yorkshire kind of derby?
It's not just a kind of Yorkshire derby. It is a Yorkshire derby, but I'll help you, right? Because my wife's family are from Yorkshire. So Leeds is West Yorkshire, Sheffield, South Yorkshire. So it's not the most intense. I think Leeds Huddersfield would be up there, and obviously Wednesday versus United in South or Barnsley if they come back to the Championship. So sort of a derby, yeah. It's Yorkshire.
Oh, yeah. Yorkshire. Very large place. Terrible tea bags, though. And so where are you sitting for this one?
Oh, you've chosen violence at the start of this podcast. Yeah, I do miss the Championship. You just don't get scores like that Sunderland Sheffield Wednesday game. I mean, it's impossible to predict any scoreline at all. Sheffield Wednesday coming off the back of absolutely smashing Plymouth in the first game, get hammered themselves against Sunderland. So again, I think another high-scoring game. This one, I at the moment, I think Leeds. I'm still predicting Leeds to win. I would say this. I don't know whether you agree or not. Maybe I'm being over the top and a bit harsh. I think Farke's going to come under some pressure quite quickly with Leeds.
I can see that.
Yeah. So okay. I'm predicting Leeds to win 3-1. But if they don't, I think the tables will start to turn, considering how their form dropped off a cliff at the end of last season as well. There's a lot of expectation in Leeds. So 3-1 for Leeds, away win, just as I think they're too strong. But I wouldn't be surprised if they falter again.
Well, I'm hedging on the side that Leeds will falter again. I think the tables are going to turn on Daniel Farke sooner rather than later. I've gone Sheffield Wednesday 2, Leeds United 1. I've gone Danny Roll masterclass. Come on, they have to bounce back after that heavy defeat. They have to.
You'd think so, right? I think they're going to take the lead in this game, and Leeds are going to come back and win it. So I completely get your logic, your way of thinking for it. I do. At the moment, I'm still predicting for Leeds, but yeah, it's inevitable if they don't pick up points that Farke's going to face some heavy pressure.
Yeah, well, the pressure's already there. I'm foreseeing a Leeds bottle. Let's go to the next one. Bristol City versus Coventry. I think Coventry are going to keep going strong. So I've gone Cov 3, Bristol City 1.
Yeah, I've gone for a Cov win as well, 2-0 for this one. But I would say this, Bristol City have looked pretty good. And, you know, that last goal, the fourth goal against Millwall, probably justified their win. They were 2-0 up, I think, in that game as well at one point. So I think Bristol City have looked good. And Cov still conceding goals. But having said that, Cov 2-0, I think, again, probably too strong going forwards.
Yeah, potentially. And we have the other team that participated in that 7-goal thriller. So it's Hull City versus Millwall. And it's a weird one for me because I said last week, Millwall have a great defence and then they go ship 4 goals. But as you say, the Championship is it's completely nuts. It's impossible to predict anything. And Hull, is Zambrano going to play? Is Zambrano even that good? Who knows? Is he the missing piece that they need in midfield? So I've gone for a Millwall win. I've gone Hull 2, Millwall 3.
Yeah, pretty high-scoring games for a defence that we both lauded praise over at the start of the season. They shipped 3 goals against Watford and then 4 goals at the weekend. So, yeah, pretty difficult to judge. I'm pretty close, 2-2 for me. Hull looked pretty average in their last game out. So 2-2, I'm not sure on that one.
I think they can score, though. It will click. They've signed some interesting players. Right, next up, we got QPR and Plymouth.
Okay, so is this the apology bit where I laughed at you for predicting 1-1 last game, and then they go and get not just a 1-1 draw, but I think Plymouth did pretty well in that game as well.
It's starting to click for Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, Wayne, I'm so sorry. I apologise. I'm assuming you're watching. I can only apologise. Clearly, your managerial masterclass is just beginning. Having said that, QPR 2, Plymouth 0.
I got on QPR 1, Plymouth 0. I just don't see how Plymouth can sustain these performances. I don't mind Plymouth. I don't, but also I think as the transfer window is ticking down and coming to a conclusion, I think if they can't get their first win, I think Morgan Whittaker could go. And that's just going to make it so much harder for them. They've already lost Michael Cooper. Someone has to come in for Whittaker. He's such a great player. So QPR 1, Plymouth 0. And what have we got next? We got Blackburn Rovers versus Oxford.
So Blackburn obviously suffering the loss of Smodics the other day to Ipswich, finally gone through. That's going to have a big impact on them. Obviously not the only good player for Blackburn that people have had their eye on. People like Hedges. I think, did Hedges score at the weekend? He may well have done. And Tyrese Dolan as well. Oxford have looked really good. I thought they did really well against a pretty intimidating Cov atmosphere. I say intimidating. There was still quite a few empty seats I saw at the CBS. But I think they did really well to hold their own in that game. I see them winning this 1-0.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I've gone Oxford 2, Blackburn 1. As you say, they do have some good players still, even with Smodics leaving. Ohashi is one that we've picked out before on the main podcast. But I feel Oxford, they're well organised, and sure, they might not be the greatest set of footballers, but they throw themselves about. They really put themselves into the game. And as we saw under Nathan Jones at Luton, sometimes you just gotta go in full-blooded, and sometimes it will work for you. I don't think Oxford are going to end up top half, by any stretch, but I do feel they're gonna, they're gonna bully their way to a certain number of points, and they've been a surprise package so far this season for me. So I've
Yeah, both
gone
of
for
us.
a away
Yeah.
win.
We
Mm.
both put them in our relegation zone at least, I think, bottom or second bottom. I think they've been really impressive since the start of the season.
Right, now we got Middlesbrough versus Portsmouth, and I've gone for a 1-1. Now, I do think Middlesbrough have a lot about them, but after seeing Portsmouth, they were better than I thought they would have been. They're relatively solid at the back. Yes, Jordan Clark unlocks them with a couple of very clever passes, but they have a fair bit of danger on the wing. Like Silvera, especially, was incredibly dangerous throughout that game. Just no end product, but I feel it could click. Whereas Middlesbrough, slow starters, really. I feel that they tend to click towards the second half of the season. That's when they tend to always go on that rampage and, have a charge at the playoffs. So, yeah, I've gone for a 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's that 1-0 loss to Derby, again, very, very difficult to call that. But they're at home in this game, and I think that makes a difference. I think that they're a lot stronger team at home. I think on the flip side of that, Portsmouth, despite getting the draw against Leeds, I see them getting overrun. I think Luton had plenty of chances to punish Portsmouth before we went down to 10 men. And while I agree, I think there are a couple of standout players for Portsmouth. I think Marlon Pack's still got it in terms of his range of passing and dictating the play. And I think that's going to be incredibly important for them going forwards. I think that the attacking line of Middlesbrough, now they've added Conway, I believe, who's come there now from Bristol City. I see this as a Borough win, 3-1.
Ooh, okay, quite a heavy win there. Matt Ritchie impressed me on his brief cameo off the bench for Portsmouth. I think that's a brilliant signing for them. Absolutely smashing.
Yeah, he's class, isn't he? And obviously he was part of their youth setup, but you can tell he's been playing in the Premier League for a fair few seasons, definitely.
Yeah, and next up we got Norwich versus Sheffield United.
Yeah, I've not been too impressed with Sheffield United, and I know that sounds a bit harsh considering their results, but I think they flatter into deceive a little bit, and I'm still not convinced by the kind of the depth of their front line in particular. I don't know. I think it's a lot to hang your hopes on. Kiefer Moore to do your job, and Ryan Brewster hasn't played a decent game for a couple of years as well, and for that reason, I think
years.
at least, yeah. I mean, I don't. When was he at Swansea? Whenever that was, that might have been more than 2 years ago. But
that's like
yeah.
4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years, 2 years, etc. But yeah, I mean, I'd forgotten he was there, as probably a fair few Sheffield United fans had done, I guess. But look, that for me, I think that's going to be their undoing if they don't sign a striker. Norwich have been not that convincing either. Yeah. First game really poor, last game much better. I'm going to say at home though, Norwich to win this one 2-1.
So I've gone for a 2-2 here. Same reasons as you though. Sheffield United, like O'Hare and Hamer linked up beautifully. It looked really good, but in front of them, who else have they got really? The final third looked a bit better for them last game in comparison to their game against Preston. Like, they made Preston look pretty good. Like, when I saw Preston playing, I was thinking, oh, wow, Preston look pretty decent here. I'm worried for our game soon with them. How things change really quickly. And Norwich, it's a weird one. I still think the manager's getting his feet under the table, but I think at home this could be enough for them to grab a draw, and I think it'll be a high-scoring one. Sheffield United, bit flappy at the back maybe. That might change for Michael Cooper if he starts. But let's go on to Preston North End versus the mighty Luton Town.
So, I think, well, Watford are looking over their shoulder at Preston. I think Gino Pozzo's jealous looking at this. 2 managers in 2 weeks, 2 games. This is setting a new bar. Look, it's impossible to know whether their new manager is going to be in time, although I've seen rumours that Heckingbottom's interested, so we'll see. I truly think that we would have won the game against Portsmouth if we'd have kept 11 men on the pitch and we started to create much more than we did. And hopefully we learned from the solidity at the back. Preston haven't scored a goal, I think I saw in something like 6 or 7 games going back last season as well. But we concede goals. So I've given Preston 1, but I'm going to say we score 3. So Preston North End 1, Luton Town 3.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. We have to apologise to Preston fans who watched this video because a lot of them were saying to us, Ryan Lowe's sacking was not unjustified. They finished the season really poorly, and I hold my hands up. I wasn't aware, Preston fans. Very sorry. And hopefully you do get a new manager in and you can proceed with your season after this game. I do think Peter Risdale is an absolute charlatan as chief exec of Preston. One of my all-time... Sorry, I've gone off on a massive tangent here. One of my all-time favourite quotes in football is Peter Risdale when he was the chief exec at Leeds. And he was talking about the massive financial implosion that happened at Leeds. And he said, are we in trouble? Yes. But we lived the dream. And this was like as they were going down into like
That's the
championship.
Confidence that you need. We've heard stuff like that at Luton before, haven't we? So,
yeah, like champagne ideas, Coca-Cola pockets, all that. Yeah, wonderful. I love sound bites like that. So I've gone Luton Town 3, Preston 0. I think if we start with the same team that started the other game, minus Kaminsky, who obviously can't play, but we'll have James Shea in goal. I feel Jordan Clark can unlock pretty much any defence. Like he was gliding past players, he was sliding balls in. And I think Elijah Adebayo and Colton Morris have to start taking those chances. I feel it will click. We owe Preston 1 because I believe there was a stat from Luton Facts and Figures on Twitter that said Luton Town have not won at Fratton Park since 1971. Well overdue there. So overdue. So I've gone for a convincing 3-0 Luton Town win. Next up, Stoke City versus West Brom.
I mean, who'd predict these games? This is ridiculous. What are you doing, Stoke? Absolutely battered by Watford. Absolutely battered. Just when you think Stoke couldn't get any more Stoke, they back up a really impressive performance with an absolute hammering. West Brom, however, I've been really impressed with over the first 2 games. You consider all of the stuff that's happened pre-season. It's not a transfer embargo, is it? They're being account managed by the EFL, essentially, looking at their books, but they're not going to be able to spend lots of money. I think Corberán loves a bit of adversity, and I think they win this game as well. 2-1 West Brom. I think they come from behind to win it.
So I've gone for a West Brom win as well. I've gone 1-0. It's interesting because I laughed at you when I think you put West Brom second in your table.
I did.
Wow, you absolute madman. And they seem to be doing well. Like it was a great result for them last week against Leeds. I think we both called the draw. I definitely called the draw. I don't know. I think you might have backed Leeds to win.
I think I did. Yeah, it was close. I think I said 2-1 Leeds, and you said
never bet against Carlos Corberán. He knows what he's doing, and I feel Stoke will probably have a good game, but I do think West Brom are just going to manage this one quite well. And now, battle of the unbeatens, I believe. 2 wins on the spin for both these teams: Sunderland and Burnley.
I mean, there's going to be goals, right? I'll say that. It's going to be 0-0 now. Absolutely. I don't know. We both guaranteed goals in the Portsmouth Luton game, right? No one in their right mind is predicting 0-0. Just on that, by the way, do you know when the last time we had a clean sheet, Luton had a clean sheet away from home in a competitive match? Have a think about it while I'm saying what I'm predicting for this. So, I think Burnley win. Burnley have been easily the most impressive over the 2 games, and it's only 2 games. Sunderland, however, I really enjoyed the way they played against Sheffield Wednesday. Just absolutely free-flowing football. It was fantastic to watch. But I still see Burnley being too strong. I know they've lost Odegaard, and they may well lose a couple more before this game as well, as rumours go. But I still see Burnley winning this. Stadium of Light is going to be bouncing after the last game, but I still go for a Burnley win, 3-1 Burnley.
Yeah, so I've gone big as well. I've gone Burnley 4, Sunderland 1. To be honest, like the Burnley result against Cardiff, yes, it was aided by a flappy Ethan Horvath and showing some great ball skill with his feet. But, it sort of justifies our opening day result. Yes, Burnley cut through us too easily. Yes, we need reinforcements in midfield. But ultimately, I think Burnley, I have apologies to Scott Parker because Burnley look the real deal. They do. And I think our Luton Town's last clean sheet away from home was the season we got promoted from the Championship. I think it was Rotherham when Corley Woodrow missed that penalty and then scored the rebounds.
It was, 2-0 away at Rotherham. Well, remember, that was April in that season that we got promoted. It's
crazy. Yeah. It's absolutely crazy. Like, that's what you get for not playing defensive football. But I guess it is what it is. And let's have a look at Watford versus Derby County.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, who'd have predicted their results? I mean, to both of these teams are doing better than everybody, not just us. I know we're a Luton Town podcast, and so therefore, we probably don't want to predict Watford to win too many games, but I think even Watford fans...
It's early. It's early in the season.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry. I'm not going to predict a Watford win here either.
You can.
I can. I'm not going to. I think, Derby actually did really well to manage the game at home to a good Borough side. And Borough didn't threaten too much, really. I think they were on top in the game overall, but I think Derby did pretty well. The last game against Stoke, I'm putting as a blip for Watford, and therefore I'm going to put this one as a draw, 1-1.
Interesting. I've gone for an away win, 1-0 Derby County. Not because there's any prejudice, not because I want Watford to lose. I think I do, but I'm not predicting it for that reason. I think James Collins is going to score, or Sonny Bradley. I haven't decided yet.
Have they played a game yet? Have they played yet?
I think they've had some sub appearances. Yeah, right. I think they come off the bench. Right. Yeah, I reckon someone's going to get injured. Collins going to score a pen.
Sounds familiar.
I know, right? Ultimately, though, I do think Watford cannot sustain this. I know we haven't predicted them to win yet, but I can't see them sustaining this. Like based on their pre-season, the way they finished the last season, good for Tom Cleverley, I guess. Yeah. He's getting those results, but it isn't sustainable. That's why it's early season form. Do you remember that season when Reading just stormed ahead in the league? I think they won 7 on the bounce, and then they just hit a wall and just went straight down. It happens. That is the Championship as well. Everything's unpredictable. So Derby County 1, Watford 0, please. And the final one,
please.
Please. If you don't ask, you don't get. And the final game, Swansea versus Cardiff. Now, I don't need you to tell me the geography of this one.
Yes.
So this one, I'm aware they're both in Wales. And,
well done.
Because there's no other football in Wales other than Wrexham. And so
that's the Disney sponsorship out the window. Right, yeah.
So this is quite a feisty one, as I understand. And I think, because I also need to apologise to Swansea fans, because I have not predicted a Swansea win yet. So for that reason, I'm predicting Swansea 2, Cardiff 0, because they do have some outrageous quality on the wings, and they impress me. And if they can get the ball forward faster, which is easier said than done, I feel they can really punish Cardiff, especially because Cardiff have Ethan Horvath, who I think is just traumatized by.
Oh, shades of Sluga versus Derby County.
Oh my God. As soon as I saw that goal, I was thinking, it's Sluga.
I was there. I was at Pride Park. Yeah, I remember it well, sadly. So I've gone against form, but mainly because Derby matches form kind of goes out the window. It's a bit of a cliche. I think, and please feel free, Swansea fans, if any of you are watching, to correct me on this, because I've not been watching it closely, but I think Cardiff have held the upper hand on derbies more recently, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because I know that you're first to do that. For that reason, I've put Cardiff to win 2-1 on this one. I think they've obviously suffered a big loss, but we did at the hands to Burnley, and you kind of, again, as you said earlier, it's hard to put your marker on that game because Burnley are so good. So I'm going to go with a Cardiff win and base it on the fact that it's a derby and it's really hard to predict and it'll be tight. But Cardiff 2, Swansea 1, or Swansea 1, Cardiff 2, rather.
Look, derbies are literally a flip of the coin. And dare I ask, what is your lock of the week?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. I got one right last time, though. And I'm going to try to go for a different one each week. My lock of the week this week, and I really hope that I don't put the kibosh on it, is Luton Town to beat Preston North End.
You said it! You absolute madman!
Well, there we go.
Oh, no. Okay, my lock of the week is going to be, and I should do something different as well. I'm going to say Millwall. I think Millwall have it in the locker against Hull. That's who I'm going for.
It is like flipping a coin at this point, though, isn't it? It really is. But I can't go for Burnley every week. And actually, I think against Sunderland, that'll be a tough game too.
It's the greatest league in the world, and that is why we love predicting the scores for it. But to everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us. Get involved in the comments. Get your predictions down there. And while you're here, like the video. It takes a second and it really helps the channel. If you like the championship content we're putting out, please subscribe to our channel as well. And a big shout out to our audio partners, Blackstar Amplification and Carry On, for all the great equipment that keeps us sounding great. Also, thank you to the Record Shop in Amersham. Go check them out. Thank you all for tuning in and have a great game week.